The effects of Cyclone Harry, which battered Sardinia, Sicily and Calabria, mainly affecting coastal areas overwhelmed by the fury of the sea. Now it is time to assess the damage. Interviewed by RaiNews 24, the Minister of Civil Protection stated, minimizing climate change is a crime. In view of the region's request for compensation from the state, the head of Civil Protection visited the most affected areas in Cagliari. Let's hear his words in the interview by Sara Perria. Often we count the number of victims or injured, but we never focus our attention on the victims or injured avoided. And this is thanks to a series of mechanisms that were actively and promptly activated. Civil protection systems, territorial systems, which together reduced the number of victims thanks to prevention activities, exactly like the ones set up in these kinds of situations. The femicide in Anguillara, Sabazia, Claudio Carlo Magno, the husband of Federica Torzullo, who was killed on January 8th, has confessed. According to the man, the crime was the culmination of an argument over custody of their son. But investigators are not convinced by his story and suspect that there were accomplices. Report by Laura Tangerlini. Are 40 minutes enough to argue with someone, kill them, drag and load their body into a car, clean the crime scene? And there's more. Why did the killer's father stand outside the house for 9 full minutes during that time frame? Claudio Carlo Magno confessed and is now charged with femicide and concealment of his wife's corpse. He stabbed his wife, Federica Torzullo, 23 times. Parts of the dynamic is still unclear, but necessary in order to add premeditation. The man stated his motive was he was scared of losing his son, but it doesn't make sense. The victim considered her husband a good father, and their separation was consensual. Their idea to limit discomfort for their 10-year-old son was for the parents to alternate living in their home. The killer confessed to killing his wife while she was naked in the shower at around 6:30 a.m. At 7:08, as shown by security cameras, the killer's father walked past the house, calling out for his son and daughter-in-law, and entered their property. At 7:17, he left. He explained he needed the company van keys. The killer leaves the house at 7:35 with Federica's body in the trunk of his car. He switched multiple vehicles in different company locations, then briefly returned home for about 10 minutes before leaving to dig a hole at the company storage site, dumping the body in it. He washes the company van truck and tosses the murder weapon, a knife, in a stream. He then returned home at 14:17 with his car, security cameras capturing a shadow sitting in the passenger seat. Today is a day of mourning in La Spezia, Liguria, for the funeral of Yousefa Banoub, stabbed by a classmate on January 16th. The autopsy performed on the body of the young man of Egyptian origin confirmed that a single stab wound pierced several vital organs, causing his death. Yesterday, the 17-year-old ex-girlfriend of Zouair Atif, 19, accused of killing his schoolmate, was questioned for over 2 hours by the prosecutor. A photo created using artificial intelligence depicting the murdered young man and the classmate's ex-girlfriend is supposedly the motive behind the aggression. The Confcommercio Research Department sees concrete signs of improvement in the Italian economy with moderately optimistic growth for this year. GDP is estimated to grow by 0.9% in 2026, while inflation, in the absence of shocks, should remain below 1.2%. Inflation has ceased to be a structural brake on households, income is growing again and exceeding pre-pandemic levels, and consumption is also slowly recovering. Published by FAI, the Italian Environment Fund, the results of the call for proposals for the selection of 20 new projects for the restoration and enhancement of cultural heritage. 700,000 euros for places close to our hearts for the year 2025. More details by Loretta Cavarici. FAI, the Italian Environment Fund, comes to the rescue of fragile sites. 20 new projects selected by the latest census include urban and peri-urban areas in 18 cases, areas often left in the dark in small municipalities and in large cities. 11 regions where various projects have been submitted for a total record funding of 700,000 euros, a private contribution for numerous assets of public value. The Places of the Heart for 2025 narrate our civilization, our territory, and its potential, and how much civil commitment can support history, nature, the environment, and art. Relaunching specific locations can protect the entire country, says Fai. The goal is to support our cultural heritage, but also, indirectly, local activities. By highlighting funds and initiatives, we can bring out more investments, because cultural tourism is based on networks. And the goal of Fai's censuses and projects is to identify treasures and to preserve them for future generations.
Scovare tesori e mantenerli tali.
Australian Open, Lorenzo Musetti wins the Italian Derby against his friend Lorenzo Sonego. Luciano Darderi also advances, defeating Argentina's Sebastian Baez. No luck, however, for debutant Francesco Maestrelli, who was beaten by Novak Djokovic in 3 sets. Yannick Sinner overwhelmed Australia's James Duckworth in 3 sets and will face the US's Elliot Spizzirri, ranked 85th in the ATP rankings, in the 3rd round. And that's all for today. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same channel.